What is a linked list? As the name suggests, it's a list that is linked. All right, Andre, that's not very helpful. Can you actually explain it to us? All right, well, I have a little diagram here for you. A list, or in this case, as we'll find out soon, a singly linked list, contains a set of nodes. And think of nodes as these blocks. Both red and green block together is a node. These nodes have two elements: the value of the data you want to store, in this case, the number 5, and a pointer to the next node in line. So you can see the green block here points to the next node. The first node is called the head, and the last node is called the tail. Now, depending on some people like to call the tail anything that is after the head, so including this block over here. But I prefer the term tail referring to the very last node. Finally, linked lists are what we call null terminated, which signifies that it's the end of the list. So we know that this is the tail node because it points to null. There's nothing coming after it. Now, pointer is a term that you hear a lot in programming and computer science. And we have a video coming up discussing what a pointer actually is. But to focus just on linked lists for now, you can see that it's a very simple data structure. It's simply an element that links to the next element that links to the next element. And it keeps going until the last element that points to null. You can have them sorted, you can have them unsorted, and you can have nodes pretty much contain any sort of data type. But let's take a look at some pseudocode. Up until now, we learned how arrays work. And here I can just create a simple array, let's say a basket that contains our grocery list. We have apples, we have grapes, the most delicious of the fruits, and we have pears. Now, how can we have a basket that's not an array, but a linked list? Well, we can just say that our linked list, and this is not actual code, just pseudocode. I can say that our linked list will contain apples that then points to grapes that then points to pears. And these little arrows are essentially pointers saying apples to grapes to pears. Remember, this isn't actually code. I'm just creating a nice diagram for you. A more accurate diagram might be something like this, where we have apples in memory space of, let's say, A947, and this node points to the next node, which is grapes, that is at this location in memory, and then that node points to pears, that is at this location in memory, and because this is the end of the list, the tail, it points to null. Now, you're thinking to yourself, Andre, how come you're not just coding this in JavaScript? Just show us how linked lists work in JavaScript and stop with this pseudocode gibberish. Well, JavaScript doesn't actually come with linked lists built in. Remember what I said. Different languages have different tools available to them. Languages like Java have linked lists, while JavaScript doesn't come pre-built with linked lists. But luckily for us, we can build one. And this is what you typically do in programming. When you don't have something, you build it. And we have the building blocks to be able to build a linked list. And that's what we're going to do as part of an exercise coming up. But before we code our own linked list and create our own linked list data structure, let's do a fun little exercise.